love. Everybody remembers their first. Now, I know some of you might be thinking that I'm talking about love when it comes to the love of a woman. But no. I'm a comic book fan. And what I remember is my first comic book. That was my first love. See, every comic book fan remembers their first comic book, much like normal people remember their first love. There's a reason for this. If you take a look here, most comic book fans don't have the chance at first love. And I don't know what's more disturbing, the fact that these guys are actually roaming the streets in this gear, or the fact that there's people out there taking pictures of them. Although I'm an anomaly in the comic book fanboy world because I actually have known the touch of a woman, I have never forgotten my first comic book. My first comic book was a Batman, an issue of Batman in 1982, and it featured the Man-Bat. Now, I was convinced, because I couldn't read at the time, that Man-Bat and Batman were the same guy, and Batman actually turned into Man-Bat, which I thought was totally cool. But as I grew older and wiser, I found out that Man-Bat was actually not Batman. But this was my first comic, and tragically, it was stolen from me. I don't want to destroy the reputation of the young man that stole my first comic book from me in kindergarten, because frankly, it was over 25 years ago. And, you know, I'm kind of over it, and since I haven't seen him actually go to jail, he seems to have turned over a new leaf, so I'll forgive him. But my first comic book was stolen from me, never to return to my possession again. Until today. For one of my classes, I had to do a presentation on something that interested me when it came to design. And I've always loved comic books. In fact, ever since that first Batman comic book was purchased for me at a grocery store spinner rack, I never stopped loving comic books. And I wanted to talk about how comic books were made. So I did a little research. I had no idea what the issue number was of the comic, but I knew it was Batman, I knew it had Man-Bat, and I knew it was 1982. So I did a little search. I found it on eBay, and it was really cheap. So I bid on it. It was a penny for like 4 days, and then it went up to 75 cents. And today, I went to my front porch, and it was beautiful.
Reunited and it feels so good. Reunited 'cause we understood.
Look at this thing! 60 cents! Okay, in June of 1982. Batman number 348. I remembered what the cover looked like, but the cover was actually torn off of it at the point that it was stolen from me. But this is it. It's just... I'm speechless. Let's take a look at comic books 25 years ago and the ads included in them. Ooh. Right in the front cover. Swamp Thing, coming to theaters near you. There was one I saw when I flipped through it the first time that... here we go. It's back. It's more popular now. I've seen it at Walmart. The Rubik's Cube. But no, not an ad for the Rubik's Cube. Sometimes that cube is hard to turn, so why don't you go out and get some cube lube? Yeah. Check this out. I'd love to know if Robert Robbins is still making posters, because he's got Conan, Hulk, and Skull. No CODs. Send 50 cents for post. Robert Robbins on 508 Pine Street in Graham, Texas. I wonder if he's still making posters. My first comic is back, and I am very happy to see it. If you're a comic book fan, what was your first comic? Do you still have it, or was it tragically lost in the past? Because, you know, if if you're able to tell me that the guy who stole your comic was the same guy, maybe we have a serial comic thief on our hands, and we might have to bring him down. But what was your first comic? This one was mine.